you don't have to become an environmentalist. If you are part of the African American church, you're already a revivalist. In 2009, after years of education and seminary training, after years of working as a youth pastor and moving my way up through the ranks, February of that year, I found myself voted out of a church. It was madness. 2,000 people filled the room to come and say what they wanted to say and be who they wanted to be. At the end of the night, the wife and I crawled back to our hotel room. We were already out of the parsonage situation. Began to load up my vehicle. I was going to be on the back end of a horse in Louisiana days to come. 2 small children and a dog. A few hours later, one of my sons in ministry and his wife showed up, prayed with us, gave us their tithes and their offering. Not because they thought I was going to do a work there, but because they still believed in the work on the inside of me. That was the night revival started. Not this show revival, but revival started deep down on the inside of me. This is Revival from Green the Church. Listen, I'm talking to pastors, first ladies, deacons, trustees, Christian educators, youth leaders, and young folks themselves. When I talk about greening the church, I'm talking, yes, about the ecclesia. Yes, I'm talking about the building structure and those things. I'm talking about environmental justice, but I'm also talking to the community in which the church is in. We're talking to advocates, we're talking to organizers, people in big green organizations. We're talking to the Black church about environmentalism, but listen, you don't have to become an environmentalist. If you are part of the African American church, you're already a revivalist. Come on, somebody. Somebody said, we may not talk about environmentalism and sustainability, but the Black church has revival all of the time. You don't have to become an environmentalist. You already believe in revival. Here's a part of my story. My father, who was an itinerant Baptist preacher, pastoring in St. Louis, Missouri, North Carolina, Los Angeles, and Oakland, California, was preaching after the National Baptist Congress in Memphis, Tennessee in 1983. And at 44 years of age, he died of a stroke. Left his wife, 6 children in East Oakland. But I thank God for a praying mother. Thank God for a church community that held us down. My mother, bless her heart, put 6 children through college and graduate school. She's a bad lady. In 1997, my brothers and I and sisters and I started Carroll Ministries International. We were doing things after we graduated from the ITC. We were doing a lot of Christian education seminars, a lot of vacation Bible school. We were doing family reunions and really focusing on the African-American family and faith. And in the midst of that, I read Van Jones' book called The Green Job Economy, and really was taken by that. And for the first time, felt like someone had articulated what would be the big ticket movement of my generation, as the civil rights movement had been for my father's generation. And we really began to look at the environment and look at the African-American church. And through Carroll Ministries International, they were able to come alongside and create this Green the Church motif. Really found it in a place for me, as I stated, coming out of a church, being voted out of a congregation. And that night, it was really interesting. My wife and I were talking, and after my son in the ministry left, I looked at the wife and said, I don't think I can leave. I think we need to stay here. And my wife said, well, what are we going to do? I said, baby, I don't know, but there's a green meeting in the morning at the Presbyterian church. And she said, is it paying any money? And I said, no, baby, I don't think it's paying any money, but I think I need to be there. Really, this move of God, I believe that what is divine is talking and calling people with a prophetic lens from all over the country. Pastors, clergy, even lay people are picking up on the fact that in the midst of economic and political strife, that our connection or disconnection from the planet itself is a part of what holds us from being our higher selves. We really believe that in this nation and in the world that God has created us, placed us in the garden and told us to care for it, that it is our mantle, that it is part and parcel of our work. I often say that individuals, even during slavery time and Jim Crow, one of the reasons that we didn't lose our mind is because we kept our hands in life-giving soil, that we were so close to the lived environment that we were able to still have expressions of love and of joy, right? That's why grandmama and them sung, this joy I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy I have, the world cannot take away. So Green the Church for the last 16 years has been flourishing by the grace of God. Started off as an organization that really wanted to answer the question, is the Black church and community interested in the environment and sustainability? And I said, of course we're interested. Not only are we interested, it's a part of who we are. We may not talk in the language of environmentalism. We don't talk in the language of the Sierra Club or making sure that we're saving the whales or saving the polar bears. We're much more interested in can cousin Pookie breathe, right? What's going on with asthma in our community? And no one can beat African-American people when it comes to things like reuse, right? We've been reusing things and clothes and sharing with one another for years upon years. This is not new to us. This is true to us. We do this. This is what we do. And so we started off really wanting to be really wanted to be a place where we told the story. Really wanted to be a place where I tell people that I wanted Green the Church to do for the environmental movement what the Source magazine did for hip hop. We wanted to tell the story of where the Black church was talking about environmental justice, was feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, making sure that we were growing food on Black church-owned land. All of these things are a part of what we're going through. And I just want to say that after the years, we've now found ourselves, we're in Georgia, California, Louisiana, and in other parts of this country, and that God has blessed us in this work. And I want to say to you that if you are in a moment of loss, if you are in a moment of doubt, but you have a funny feeling and a sneaking suspicion that the God of all that is calling you to a work, I want to tell you that it's not over for you. It's probably just beginning. So again, when I talk about Green the Church, when I talk about revival, and that Black folk may not see themselves as environmentalists, but certainly we see ourselves as revivalists, right? That this isn't something that is new to us. It's not anything that we have to learn. More so, there are things that we have to remember. Yeah. We have to remember that we are farmers. We have to remember our love and care for animals. We have to remember our love and care for one another, right? We have to remember that we are part of a great agrarian tradition. I often say that I speak in the language of Blackness and whiteness, but I don't believe in blackness and whiteness. No more than I believe that Black is the full expression of who we are, even in this country. We are more so a part of the American fiber. We are a part of the land itself, right? That we've been here for so long, and that a lot of what our grandparents taught us about medicines, right? About how we grew up taking castor oil at a certain time of year. This was happening not only in my home, but it was happening culturally all throughout these United States of America. That there's something about our parents who, even though they may have moved to Chicago or Oakland, California, that they still grew food in the backyard, right? You're not learning environmentalism. Really, you are remembering it. Huh? Soul and soil, right? Prayer and plow. This is not new. This is simply revival. At Green the Church, we have three pillars: amplifying green liberation theology, that we preach and teach, that we're putting the language of land, right, back into the pulpit. Many of us, if you listen to the language of Black preaching, there's always stories and narratives. For us, my daddy always used to preach, and he'd close and he'd talk about grandmother not having much up in the cupboard. But she gets some flour, right? And she gets some water and some eggs, and she'd make these biscuits, right? That's an environmental message, right? We grew up going home in the summer. We didn't grow up going camping. Come on, somebody. People say, do Black people camp? Well, we didn't grow up going camping, but we grew up going home in the summer. And home was a place in Holly, Louisiana, where our grandparents, even in the late 70s, early 80s, did not have running water in the house. But there was a well whose water was sweet, right? And so we grew up learning how to live on the land. There was corn growing. There was watermelons that you could reach your hand out and burst it open and eat to your heart's delight. And so living close to the land is a part of who we are. So we talk about green liberation theology. Our second pillar is sustainable practices. Things like building efficiency. We often say that the Black church doesn't own a lot of skyscrapers. The Black community doesn't own a lot of skyscrapers downtown, but we own a lot of church buildings in both rural and urban areas all over this country. Sustainable practices like growing food, sustainable practices like grandmothers putting quilts together downstairs in the church, or learning how to do preservatives with fruit that they've grown from fruit trees in their homes. Our third pillar centers around political and economic power. We want to talk about who owns the land, who controls the utility, who sits on boards, and who gets the grants, and what's going on downtown, and what's going on at the State House. These things are important, and Green the Church really works to make sure that the Black church and community, that we're not in the back, but that we are giving leadership. This work, beloved, is for all congregations. It doesn't matter if you pastor a church of 5 or a church of 5,000. One thing about it, our churches and our communities have space and place. It doesn't matter if you pastor a great cathedral or a storefront. You have something that many in our communities don't have. You have a building, and all of those buildings need to be retrofitted with clean air and clean water. We want to make sure that if folk are in the sanctuary shouting, that they have the Holy Ghost and that they're not having an asthma attack. Come on and check us out. We're going to continue on this show to talk to pastors and clergy, church leaders, community leaders about everything at the intersection of environmentalism and sustainability. And we want you to learn and grow with us. In fact, we believe that we are a part of a movement, that the Spirit of God is speaking, and that a lot of this work is already going on around the country. And we really want to amplify that work. We really want to help individuals not only do the work, but we want to help you shore up your 501c3. We want to make sure that if we have some nonprofit prophets out there, some prophets of God who are doing nonprofit work, either with your church or starting your own nonprofit, that we want to make sure that we see you, right? We want to make sure that you can get started. You don't have to have a $50,000 grant. No, you just need to get started. On this show, we're going to be come together. We'll have co-hosts, my big brothers and sisters, Pastor Bruce Carroll, Pastor Ben Carroll, Pastor Emily Carroll, and Kim Noble, our managing director, will all come alongside us as co-hosts, because this is not a one-person show. Some weeks I'll be teaching solo. Some weeks we'll have everybody talking, but this is going to be a great time. I want you to put this on your calendar. Invite your friends and colleagues. Listen, and Green the Church is happy to have a whole revival community. You can download the Green the Church app right now. We're going to be full with toolkits, teaching material to help you make sure that you can communicate this, whether it's seeing sermons or whether it's toolkits around building efficiency. We really want our trustees to know that Green the Church is here to be of help as you look at your HVAC systems. Some of us still have boilers with all kind of stuff still around them. And so we really need to make sure that we clean a lot of that up. We also have a membership card. Come alongside us and support us for $10 a month, $25, $50 a month. It's not about the amount. It's about deciding that you are in. Brothers and sisters, it doesn't matter if you're attending the garden or prophesying to dry bones. It's the same calling. It's not two different jobs. What do you say? It doesn't matter if you are on the pastoral side or on the prophetic side. All of it is our work together. You don't have to become anything that you're not. You're already a revivalist. You're already doing the work. I'm Ambrose Carroll, and this has been Revival. I'll see you next week.